One of the main anomalies of September 11, 2001 is the CIA's either malfeasance or an act of perjury. A clip I'm going to be playing is a clip that I've shown previously before, but I think this should be given some rapt attention again, because this is going to be the clear case of either the CIA intentionally withholding information which could have prevented a terrorist attack inside the United States, or was this simply an act of ignorance? What the clip I'm going to show is a clip taken from the Joint House Inquiry Report, interview between Carl Levin and CIA Director George Tenet.
Now, then we come to March 5th, same year, 2000. And the CIA learns some additional information, very critical information. On March 5th, the CIA learns that Hazmi had actually entered the United States on January 15th, 7 days after leaving the Al-Qaeda meeting in Malaysia. So now the CIA knows Hazmi is in the United States, but the CIA still doesn't put Hazmi or Midhar on the watch list, and still does not notify the FBI about a very critical fact. A known Al-Qaeda operative, we're at war with Al-Qaeda, a known Al-Qaeda operative got into the United States. My question is, do you know specifically why the FBI was not notified of that critical fact at that time?
The cable that came in from the field at the time, sir, was labeled information only, and I know that nobody read that cable.
But my question is, do you know why the FBI was not notified of the fact that an Al-Qaeda operative now was known in March of the year 2000 to have entered the United States? Why was the CIA, why did the CIA not specifically notify the CIA? That's my question. The FBI.
Sir, if we weren't aware of it when it came in the headquarters, we couldn't have notified them. Nobody read that cable in March, in the March timeframe.
So that the cable that said that Hazmi had entered the United States came to your headquarters, nobody read it?
Yes, sir. It was an information-only cable from the field, and nobody read that information-only cable.
Should it have been read?
Yes, of course, in hindsight.
And should it have been read at the time?
Of course it should have been read.
All right, my question is, do you know who should have read it?
I don't know that, sir, but I can find that out.
Was somebody responsible to have read it?
Well, a group of people, somebody should have read it, yes,
All
sir.
right.
We need to also look at where it came into, but I can find that out.
You don't know who that person was?
I do not.
Now, what did George Tenet do here? Did he commit perjury, or was he ignorant regarding who read the cable, how many read the cable, if anybody at all? Well, let's look at the facts. According to author Lawrence Wright of the Looming Tower, over 50 agents of the CIA had read the cable. The cable that had came in was from a Kuala Lumpur meeting in Malaysia of high-level Al-Qaeda operatives, such as Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Ramzi bin al-Shib, Ridwan Isamuddin, known as Hambali, of the group Jeddah Islamiyah, who had links with Abu Sayyaf and Al-Qaeda in the Philippines and Indonesia. Khalid al-Midar Nawaf al-Hazmi, Fahad al-Kuso, and it was reported that Zacharias Moussaoui had attended here inside a condo which was rented by Yazid Sufat, an Indonesian businessman who has connections to Jeddah Islamiyah. Now, the NSA had found out about this meeting through a phone call in which they were monitoring a house in Yemen located in the capital of Sana'a. This was an Al-Qaeda communications hub. The NSA had informed the CIA that they heard there was an high-level Al-Qaeda meeting happening in January. The Malaysian authorities were notified by the CIA to take photographs. It is alleged that there was video of people coming in and out of the condo and who attended the meeting. Those photographs of people such as Khalid al-Midar, Nawaf al-Hazmi, also another high-level Al-Qaeda operative, Walid bin Atash, who was also known as Khalad, had attended this meeting. Those photographs were then shared to the CIA's Bin Laden issue station, codenamed Alex Station. Now, here is the disconnect that Tenet is talking about. That information from a high-level Al-Qaeda meeting a meeting that was shared by the NSA to the CIA. The cable that came in with this information was information only. The information that was within the cable was the passports that were taken from a hotel in Dubai where Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi were staying, United Arab Emirates. This had photographs of both men. That they were to come inside the United States, specifically New York City, on January 15, 2000. Instead, they went to Los Angeles International Airport. An FBI agent by the name of Doug Miller, who was on loan from the New York FBI Counterterrorism Office to Alex Station, along with Mark Rossini, an associate and close friend of the deceased John O'Neill, were on loan to the CIA to work at Alex Station. Doug Miller had read the cable that came in, but he wasn't the first. According to Ray Nowolski and Kevin Fenton and Paul Thompson, all authors of specific books regarding 9/11 and Alex Station, Michelle Ann Casey, who is the lead officer of monitoring the Yemen hub from the CIA, had read the cable. Tom Wilshire, the deputy director or second in command of Alex Station, also read the cable. The third person to read it was Doug Miller of the FBI. Knowing that Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi had terrorist connections at some level with the 1998 East Africa bombings and the 2000 bombing of the USS naval warship, the Cole, this information was important. So potent was this information that Doug Miller had drafted a cable. This information was gleaned from the CIA. Miller's cable was specific in that al-Mihdhar would likely be traveling to New York City. The information that was in the cable had been gleaned by the CIA, which reviewed his visa application, which was approved in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Now, this is logically the only deduction because the CIA had viewed the application, because how else could that information be in the cable? And that they had connection to the East Africa bombings in 1998, which, by the way, was an active FBI case at the time. So this information should have been shared with the FBI. He also wrote that photos of Khalid al-Mihdhar have been obtained and that, along with Nawaf al-Hazmi's passport, would be in the cable as well, meaning to the FBI. But Doug's Central Intelligence Report did not contain all the CIA-protected operational information, the details of the Kuala Lumpur cable, which identified the several foreign liaison services and CIA case officers involved. So Miller even protected the classified information of the CIA from the report so that the CIA can approve. However, this information was never shared with the FBI. Why? Because when the cable was sent to Tom Wilshire for approval, Tom Wilshire told Michelle Ann Casey to hold off on sending. When the cable wasn't sent, Mark Rossini had complained directly to Michelle Ann Casey, in which he was told that the information was, and the operation was not an FBI matter, and that they believed, the CIA's Alex Station believed the next terrorist operation would be somewhere in Southeast Asia. Which means that Had they had intelligence about a domestic matter, it would be an FBI matter. But because she lied or she had bad information about another terrorist operation happening in Southeast Asia, this information in the cable cannot be shared with the FBI. Question is, did she lie? Did George Tenet lie? We now know, though, that at least Tom Wilshire and Michelle Ann Casey, two CIA officers, had read the cable. And like I said, Lawrence Wright, the author of The Looming Tower, as I stated previously before in other videos as well, according to him, over 50 agents of the CIA had read this cable. Was this made aware to George Tenet? If not, he has plausible deniability. But at the very least, Tom Wilshire and Michelle Ann Casey had committed perjury. Now, well, I'm sorry, Tom Wilshire did. Michelle Ann Casey did not, because Michelle Ann Casey was conveniently relocated to head operations in Tora Bora, Afghanistan, with Richard Blee, who was the chief of station at Alex Station. According to Gary Bernstein, who was heading an operation called Jawbreaker, which was a CIA Special Activities Division operation, which was to capture or kill Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda in Tora Bora, Afghanistan, Richard Blee and Michelle Ann Casey took over the operation. According to Bernstein and a couple of other people, they think this was so that they could not testify at the 9/11 Commission or the Joint House Inquiry. That makes sense. Because they would be asked, just like Carl Levin, why didn't you share this information with the FBI? Now, whether George Tenet had plausible deniability or did he commit perjury? That is the question 9/11 truthers should be asking. Instead, they still don't believe that hijackers hijacked the plane, thereby missing out on the real anomalies. And this is just one. There are dozens of others in which I have covered on my own channel. These are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Did the CIA lie? Or was it malfeasance? Either way, it's at the fault of the CIA, because according to the NSA and the FBI, if this information was shared to the FBI, at least they could have been monitoring Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi as soon as they stepped off the plane at Los Angeles International Airport on January 15th of 2000. Instead, they were driven by a Tunisian cab driver by the name of Khalid Ben-Amarine and delivered to Fahad al-Dumeri, who is alleged to have been a Saudi consular officer or operative inside the United States at the King Fahd Mosque in Culver City, Los Angeles. And from there, both men would then disappear into the United States, and even living with an FBI informant, in which I've done a video about Abdus Sheikh. Go watch that video to learn more. So it's time to start asking the real questions. Don't you think?